Okay, let's dive into this. Right now, somewhere inside of you, an alarm might be quietly going off. And I'm not talking about a fire alarm or some danger you can actually see or touch, it's entirely invisible. But your biology, it's treating it like an absolute life or death emergency. Think about it. You might be completely surrounded by people right this second. Maybe you're sitting next to a bunch of coworkers at the office, or you're at home with your family, or, maybe your group chats are just absolutely buzzing with notifications. But despite all of that noise, there's still this weird underlying hum of disconnection. Why does a full room still feel so empty? It's that sinking feeling that despite all the constant interaction, no one actually truly sees you. And you probably know the physical version of this feeling, right? It's that tight chest you get on a Sunday night when the weekend is fading away. Or it's that endless, mindless scrolling on your timeline that never actually makes you feel any better. Or it's the classic 3 a.m. wake-up for absolutely no reason at all. You grab your phone, there's nothing new, you check it again just in case you missed something, but of course, you didn't.
Well, here is the core mystery, the part that almost nobody tells you. This feeling, it's not just an emotion. Your body actually treats disconnection like a literal physical attack. Loneliness doesn't always look like being physically alone in a room. Sometimes it looks like a crowded space and a completely empty chest. And your body logs every single version of it, internally, like a wound that just never quite closes.
For decades, society fed us a very specific story. They told us loneliness is kind of just a soft mood, a personal failing that you can just fix with a quick pep talk, picking up a new hobby, or, downloading another dating app. Just push through it, they'd say. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it completely shatters that old lie. They said it's all in your head. Well, it is in your head, but that is exactly the problem, because the hard biological reality shows us that social rejection actually equals physical injury. To really understand why, we have to look directly at the brain. Back in the early 2000s, neuroscientist John Cacioppo put lonely brains under an fMRI scanner and found something deeply unsettling. When you experience social rejection, it lights up a very specific region called the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. And get this, that is the exact same region of the brain that processes physical pain. I mean, let that sink in for a second. Your nervous system literally can't separate the feeling of "nobody texted me back" from "I just broke my arm." To your brain, both are literal injuries. But the science gets even stranger, reaching right down into our DNA. Geneticist Steve Cole studied the actual cells of chronically lonely people and discovered that their immune systems were undergoing a radical cellular reprogramming. More inflammatory genes are getting switched on, and fewer antiviral genes are switched on. It's as if the body has quietly decided to prepare for physical wounds instead of preparing for viruses. I mean, this isn't a metaphor. Loneliness measurably rewrites your gene expression. On top of that, your cortisol, that's your stress hormone, stays elevated, and your sleep gets shallower, more fragmented, and just way less repairing. So what exactly happens when your body stays in this state of low-grade defense for years on end? Well, in 2015, researchers wanted to find out. They conducted this massive meta-analysis looking at the long-term physical bill of chronic isolation. And to give you an idea of the scale here, they didn't just look at a few hundred people. They pulled data spanning over 300,000 individuals across the entire globe. And this brilliantly illustrates the staggering findings of that study. When we compare mortality risks, chronic loneliness and social isolation raise your risk of early death by a margin comparable to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. No way, right? It entirely outweighs the mortality risk associated with obesity. When you add up the elevated inflammation, the higher blood pressure, and a nervous system stuck in survival mode, loneliness doesn't just feel bad emotionally. It runs a slow, devastating physical bill. Which brings us to the ultimate evolutionary detective question. Why would your own body turn against you like this? Why on earth would human biology self-sabotage, ramping up dangerous inflammation and ruining your vital sleep over something as abstract as, not having enough friends? Let's move to and see how this builds throughout history, because for most of human existence, being cast out of the group wasn't just a sad afternoon, it was a literal death sentence. In ancient history, having no group meant you had no shared food, no shared warmth, and absolutely no one to watch your back while you slept. If you were alone on the savannah, well, you didn't get to be lonely for very long, because you were prey. But in the modern day, we're technically connected to 500 people on our phones, but genuinely recognized by none of them. The environment changed rapidly, but our biology didn't. Evolution absolutely had to ensure we stayed with the group to survive, so it built a mechanism. Think about hunger and thirst for a second. They're simply biological alarms telling you that you are missing vital resources like food and water. Loneliness was built the exact same way.
It is a desperate survival alarm for a missing resource. Except, the missing resource isn't food or water. It's other people.
So that hum we talked about at the beginning of this explainer, the one you feel under all the noise and all those notifications, it was never proof that something is wrong with you. As this quote perfectly captures, it's a 300,000-year-old survival system doing exactly its job. It's just your biology working perfectly, desperately trying to tell you that a completely crucial resource is missing from your life.
So, the crucial point is how we actually turn this alarm off. Because right now, most of us are just hitting the mute button. We use willpower, we throw ourselves into a new hobby, or we rack up 500 online followers. But these things just temporarily muffle the siren. Unlike most alarms though, this one has an actual off switch. And it's the exact same channel that triggered it in the first place. Real, reciprocal contact. Just one genuine conversation where someone actually looks at you, really sees you, and means it. That is the only thing that will quiet the biological siren.
Your body has been trying to tell you this the whole time. It's been communicating through every restless night and every single unexplained ache. The question I want to leave you with as we wrap up this explainer is this: will you listen to the alarm or just keep muting it? Understanding our weird, wonderful biology is the very first step to truly connecting. I highly encourage you to go have that one real conversation today. Thanks for exploring.